Welcome to what is going to be a super entertaining training on the SBA and WCAS administration for 2025. With that, let's get going. We need to talk about security. The security of the assessments is vital to maintaining the fairness and validity of the tests. Student information is confidential and should be kept secure. Please lock up your test tickets after students finish testing. And in addition to attending training, you must fill out this assurance report that you got trained. We'll make sure that we get that to you. The prohibited activities during testing: there is no reviewing, discussing, or copying secure test content or student responses. Please don't take pictures of the test with your cell phone. Use secure test content to develop instructional resources. We should not be taking test items and copying them to make curriculum. Assist with or interpret test content for students. So we cannot answer questions like, what does this word mean? Or how much is -5 plus 7? We cannot alter student responses in any way. We cannot leave secure test content or materials unattended in a non-secure location. And we cannot leave students alone during testing. Commonly reported incidents, which I hope we will have zero, are students accessing non-approved electronic devices. And so no cell phones, no iPhones, nothing that a student could get messages or receive help on the test on. Accessibility features you do not need to worry about. Calculators on a non-calculator portion of the test or a handheld calculator. So under no circumstances should a student have access to a calculator during the test. There will be portions of the math test where a calculator appears on screen for them to use though. So if you're a math teacher, I will be reminding you of how to let students know where to get to the calculator button when it is available. Instructional materials not being covered or removed from the testing location. If you are in doubt that something might make it so that it gives students an unfair advantage on the test, please cover it up on your walls or take it down. The last thing that we need is someone walking into a room and seeing a multiplication chart or a list of vocabulary or something on the wall while students are taking the test. TAs are not allowed to deviate from the approved script. So please read the script verbatim when you are initiating a test. Please do not make this mistake of administering an incorrect assessment, such as a summative assessment when you are trying to do a training, practice, or interim test. And what would be horrible, please do not start a training, practice, or interim test when you are trying to give the summative assessment. Because if you do, your students will have to come back and take the summative assessment after they've taken that one. And in a video that's going to follow this one, I will walk you through how to make sure you are starting a summative assessment. You just need to remember the color blue. No electronic devices, again, comes up in this training because it's a big deal. Students must not have access to non-approved electronics during testing. They can have their Chromebook while they are taking the test, but that's it. No cell phone, no calculator, no smartwatch, none of that stuff. Also, as much as this really sort of sucks, after a student finishes the test, they have to close their Chromebook. Students cannot get on and play shell shockers or any of that sort of stuff. Once they have completed the test, if a student is in a room where testing is going on, their Chromebook needs to be closed after they have completed the test. I would have some search and shades, Sudoku puzzles, whatever you want on the side for students to work on after they finish the test. Of course, they can read. Test incidents. When test incidents occur, it is important to stop the session for the individual student or the class, take corrective action to mitigate the incident, and then we're going to read a sentence that has a ton of acronyms in it, and I'll make sense of it for you. So TAs report incidents immediately to the SC, who contacts the DC and or technology coordinator for guidance. The DC works with OSPI when required. That's a very long way of saying, just tell me that something happened and I'll take care of it. Security policies and responsibilities. State and local law and policies specify practices to ensure test security and the standardized and ethical administration of assessments. That's a mouthful. Students must be monitored throughout testing. If you need to have a potty break, please contact one of the counselors or one of the coaches and we will get there for you. Only staff members trained for state assessments can administer or be in a testing room. Please do not leave your students with someone who has not been trained. Volunteers, media, parents, or students not testing are not allowed in a testing room. That last piece about students not testing, that's we just have to deal because we don't have somewhere else for them to go. So once a student finishes, they will stay with you while other students are working. You cannot also review or disclose test questions, because that is a violation of state law. So no going over the test questions after the kids take the test, no making curriculum out of them for the next year, that sort of thing. You can actively monitor students working on the test, and that is an expectation that you are up and around and making sure that students are doing what they should be doing. TA responsibilities before, during, and after testing. I'm going to add to the before testing list here. You'll be receiving an email from me asking what materials you would like to have in your classroom during testing so that I can make sure that you have everything that you need. Moving on, complete test administration training, which is this video, and review all state testing policies, administration documents prior to administering state tests. So it would be a great idea for you to read your test administration manual a couple days before you start your testing, just so that you're familiar with the script and what to say. You will also need to complete the after training staff assurance report. I mentioned that earlier. We will get that to you. Please do take time to become familiar with the TAM, which is the Test Administration Manual that has the script that you will read to students in it. Have a list of students and their accessibility features, which I should have taken out of here. You don't need that. That's already been taken care of. Please familiarize yourself with your school's test security something plan. I can't remember what that acronym stands for, but you don't need to worry about that either. Make sure all instructional materials are covered or removed from the testing location. Again, if you are questioning whether or not something should be covered, please cover the darn thing up. And identify a location for students to place their electronics and their bags. So during testing, all that a student should have with them at their desk is their machine, a pencil, scratch paper, whatever materials you need for your students to be having the best opportunity, but they can't have access to bags, electronics, that sort of thing. During testing, make sure students don't access unapproved electronics. This comes up a lot because it's a big deal. Check materials out to students and be prepared to check them back in. So again, if you are a person who is providing scratch paper, the scratch paper needs to be collected and put with the student's test ticket. And we can give scratch paper back to students in the following sessions and that sort of thing, but all materials that we give to students that have anything to do with the test on them must be collected. Please read the script to students verbatim. You can find that in the TAM, the Test Administration Manual. Actively monitor students at all times during testing, and then report any incidents to me. Finally, after testing, which we will be glad when this is all over, I'm going to ask you to collect the test tickets and place them in the appropriate folder. And I'll be right back with an example of what that will look like. And so those of you who know me know that my office is a mess, but I do not like a mess when it comes to things like SBA or WCAS test tickets. So I am going to give you all of your test tickets for your students by period, and I'll show you what they will look like in just a moment. I'll be asking you to sort them for me and put students, and I don't know if this is going to look backwards to you or not, but you'll get a folder for each period. This is Garcia's second period. If students are still testing on either the CAT or the PT, doesn't matter which test, they are not done with both tests, their test ticket will go in this folder. Once a student finishes all tests, for the WCAS, that's one test. For ELA and math, that's 2 tests. Please put their test ticket in the finished all tests folder. It's great to have things organized like that because it really makes it much easier for those of us who are trying to pull off the makeups scene. In terms of the test tickets themselves, what you're going to get from me is going to be something that looks very similar to this. I may make some format changes and this kind of thing, but what you will have is I will identify both the ELA teacher and the math teacher on the test ticket. Actually, I'll probably just do one. Like I said, I may make some format changes. You will know who you are and what period this kid is in on your test ticket is what you need to get out of this. The student's name will be there, their state student ID will be there. This is what they will use to log in. And I'm also going to include their full schedule because it's important for those of us who are doing makeups to be able to find them. And it takes much less work to do it if we can just look at the test ticket than it does if we have to look them up in PowerSchool and la-da-da-da-da. What I'll be asking you to do is when a student finishes the CAT, put an X, put a check mark, whatever on the CAT box. When a student finishes the PT, do the same thing. Put an X, put a check on the PT box, whatever you prefer. And again, once they finish both, they go into the Finished All Tests folder. If a student has finished the CAT, but they have not finished the PT, they go into the Still Testing folder. All right. And then again, we do have to fill out a test security assurance report a second time after you give the test. One more time on this one because it is important, even though it is a pain. If students stay in the testing room after completing their online test, they must not be allowed to use their testing device once they have finished testing. So again, once students finish testing, Chromebooks need to be closed. They can work on things on paper or read. And then using their testing device for non-testing activities in the location is considered a test incident, and the student's test will be invalidated. Only activities such as reading a book or working on a paper pencil assignment for a non-related subject is allowed. I hope this is helpful. As you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I will be glad to help. I hope you have an awesome day.